in Hungary, then you probably need to recheck your infrastructure settings in the Euro region. I mean, if they intend to use this application outside of the Pay Asia region, things like that. Yeah, we just want the software to be better, so that's why I suggest this to see if you can pass that info to the team. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. QuickCom team is still in this room, so I think they get your point.
Oh, cool. So yeah, Peter's connection seems well now. So far, so good.
Yes, nice. Peter, you got your name badge here?
Yeah.
I
think it should work.
主涵，你看一下，在聊天室里边有个链接，你把那链接点下去，然后里边会有，对，里面有个楚涵镜嘛，你把那个图片载下来，然后在这通讯软体里边下面有个 more 里面有个 name badge， 你就把它套上去，这样会显得专业些。所以之后这影片都会留在 Instagram channel， 也会留在 Scroll channel 的。所以我想你把它摆着，这样比较好看。
More name badge.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, upload photo.
Yeah, thanks. So, 就昨天I was Chinese to reiterate the flow for our Chinese teachers. 所以就 Peter 等会把第一个部分的 contract 那边给讲完之后嘛，昨天我看咱们白名单有大概15-16个人有登记，那今天不知道有几个会来问你们东西。总之就是等 Peter 讲完前边的大概20分钟半小时，或可能甚至更久 demo 的部分之后，咱们会分成3个小房间。昨天人太少了，所以今天就分3个就好。然后咱们就一人一间嘛，我和宁熙一间，楚涵你一间，那 Peter 一间，那咱就进去看有没有 Hackathon 成员来问那个合约部署的，或者是有其他问题的，就叫他们 share 荧幕一下，咱们给他除错下，如果他不会部署的话。那如果是有什么其他问题，像是可能他们没有要弄合约，他只是来问工作或来闲聊，那也可以跟他们聊聊，就看看，想说因为在国内不是挺好出国嘛，现在什么都挺难搞。趁这个机会看看使用者对咱们有什么意见，有什么有趣的想法，其实也挺好的。前几天还遇到有人把我们当成偶像的，所以应该挺开心这样。大概就是这样的一个流程。
我感觉这个 Web 的 Network Stability 有点问题啊，有点卡一卡的，
有点问题。我现在看你 Video Feed 也卡了。对，毕竟是越南本地的新创嘛，我想可能他们有他们自己的考量，要扶持本地应用。
我有点担心，我快速分享各种各样的屏幕、各样的页面，会不会有问题卡住
？Yeah, just like yesterday.
Yeah, if there's any issues on the video, Jerry, please let me know.
Yes, I'll let you know in Slack or in DM, so you understand. Yeah.
No, you should just message me because I don't see the DM when I'm sharing the screen.
Oh, message you on the QuickCom.
I mean,
right?
No, just interrupt me. Just
interrupt you. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, in case that we cannot hear you, but you can hear us. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hello, Bingfu. Nice to meet you. Again, yeah. I mean. It's probably not a specifically good day for everyone in the recent FTS incident. To be honest, myself is pretty scared, although I lost just a little in the incident. But yeah, everyone, including the people from HBN, stay strong. I mean, there is nothing that can be solved in life. Try to think about the beautiful things in life, right? So it's 10 minutes before the event started. We just wait for Lynn to tell us to start, and yeah.
Yes, 10 minutes left. We will start at 4 p.m. Vietnam time.
Sure. Thanks.
哎，对了，07，我想问一下，那个你那边你有开 VPN 连这个 QuickCom 吗？
你说啥？感觉你挺
Holy
卡的。
crap！
主啊，你刚才问啥来着？好像林夕刚好像没听到，还怎样？
卡了，还是我卡了？不知道。
没法，只能期待等一下不卡了。
我说中。
我只是好奇问问，像林夕、像楚涵，你们像在国内嘛，那大家都知道，国内到国外其实不是特别的方便。可是就是目前好像咱们会出去讲，有活动会分享的，海城张掖不算嘛，那个整天在出去的。然后东亚这边就 Rocket 在新加坡，那他最近好像也比较忙要养孩子，就剩我跟 Peter 跟Ray 在欧洲这样子。只是想问问，因为就你们两位，就或者是其他人，有认识说，整天待国内会很闷的那一种同事啊，可能会想出来，可能分享，或者开 workshop，然后顺便在宝岛台湾旅游一下，或者在其他地方旅游一下之类这种人。因为有时候我感觉咱们的内部关于这种活动的沟通信息不是很完善啊。如果你们会想出来的话，到时候森迪他们要办活动，我也讲一声，那大家就可以趁机拿公款出来玩，那也挺好。你们怎么想的？
我是很乐意出去的，我是很想出去的。
是很想出去被3不5时静态隔离闷得慌了是吧？
我倒还好吧。
最近我在上海，最近还好，最近没有那么严重了。然后上海现在好像有一些那个event， 就是关于 Web3 的 event， 也有一些，我就偶尔会去参加一下。但我不会是 guest speaker 嘛，我就只是去参加一下、听一下什么的。
原来如此。想当 guest speaker 的话，你可以跟 Young 联络，就 YOUNG，Young 在搞国内的社群的，你跟他说，搞不好当 speaker 还可以混个讲者晚宴，那也挺开心的，至少可以吃点好料的。
我感觉我当 guest speaker， 我不知道我能说那么久吗？我感觉他们每次都是4-50分钟那种说吧。
其实也没有，大部分都是半小时而已。那半小时你可能自己练习的时候，可能甚至不会讲那么久，讲20分钟，因为实际上来会紧张嘛。所以可能20分钟自然而然这边半小时了，通常是这样的一个状况。所以就看那有这个意愿，你就多跟 Young， 国内的话多跟 Young 去联系。那现在我知道林夕跟楚安你们两个都挺想出国，之后有机会一定也就跟你们讲，不会就只讲，因为感觉咱们内部 tech 跟 non-tech 讯息好像不是很通畅，讲通畅点大家也开心。
OK， 对了 ，Jerry， 你看我的那个 name badge 还在吗？就是我这边网络
在了，对。你自己看不到，但是咱们看得到，没问题。
我已经加载不出来那个 IMG 了，但是
我看得到，它还在，没问题。
OK， 连接是稳定的，因为我把 VPN 关掉了，我发现
VPN 之后，你的名字就会留在那个 Scroll 频道上 ，Scroll 以后火了，你就变 Crypto OG，
Crypto OG, yes. We all become crypto OG.
Yeah, to the moon. Yeah, I mean it's kind of shaky now, but yeah.
But right now it's on the ground. It's on the deep ground.
Yeah.
The crisis from FTX.
Yeah, SBS.
That's crazy.
The leverage is too not good.
That's why I never put all my money on centralized trading platform. I have a majority of my money on cold wallet. So I think that's a good point. We should give this advice to all the participants in these events. Never trust.
Of course, considering the recent news. And I mean, even some of us are from previously free debt, and it is exactly a DEX, decentralized exchange. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
Decentralization rules as long as we solve the issue of scalability on chain, which is exactly why Scroll exists.
Yes, that's why. That's Scroll built for. At least can provide scalable.
Tens of hundreds of thousands of TPS coming soon. Soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So please let us know if we are online. Then thanks, so we can start chit chatting.
Okay, we're about to start soon, everyone. Okay, let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the workshop from Vietnam event to 2022. My name is Ling, and I will be the moderator for this session. And together with me, we have our experts from Scroll team. We have Jerry, we have Celine, we have Peter, and we have Dean, right? Joining us for this session, and they will be mentoring you with the coding part after that. But first of all, as you may know, this workshop is a part of EAT Vietnam 2022 and a part of Build-a-thon 2022 also. And because I see some new names here, so maybe not all of you knows about the event and our Build-a-thon and every side events before that. So I would like some minutes to have a very short introduction about the event and also the Build-a-thon. So EAT Vietnam will bring together the builder community from all over the world to Vietnam, and we want to build it as a first hub for blockchain community to build and learn together. That's why we have partnered with 7 biggest names in these industries, which is Polygon, 1inch, Scroll, Beatdown, Dorax, Blockboard, and Radio in this Build-a-thon 2022. This is the biggest hackathon ever happening in Vietnam, and we want to bring the global resources to contribute and to boost the local community of devs and builders, blockchain builders, and also project owners in Vietnam. For this Build-a-thon, we have up to $50,000 in reward and bounties and up to $10,000 in quadratic funding. Besides the capital funding, you also receive a lot of expertise, a lot of consultancies and also advice from top leaders in this industry. And this workshop is also one of them. So we have some milestones that we want all the participants to keep in mind if you want to submit your project to join the Build-a-thon and win the prize. Please remember to submit before November 26th. That's the deadline of the Build-a-thon. And also after we receive all the applications from all over the world, we will our judging panel will score and choose top 10 finalists, and they will join us in offline Build-a-thon happening in EAT Vietnam main event in 2 days, 25th and 26th of November. So, but for other Build-a-thon teams, if you want to join us in offline event, you are invited to join, and we will send the tickets to your email. So please check your email regularly to receive our tickets and also latest update about the event. And one more milestone that I want to emphasize is that we have a demo pitch day happening in 26th of November in the offline event also. So in this demo pitch day, you will meet up to 30 venture capital, VCs and investors from all over the world, and you will get access to up to $2 million funding. That's quite huge and a great opportunity for you and for your team to bring your project to life. So please seize this opportunity and join us. This demo pitch day is open for developed projects also, not only the ideas and not only the projects that submitting to the Build-a-thon. It's open to all projects, no matter what stage of development you are in. So please, if you think that your project can solve a really big problem of user and it will contribute to the development of Web3 and blockchain, you are welcome to bring your project to the demo pitch day. Okay, and one more important thing is that if you want to get updated about the event and also the side activities and also the Build-a-thon, please join our Discord for best updates. We will have our volunteers and our support there to help you with your concerns, and they will try to get the answers to your problems. So please join our Discord and reach out to our volunteers, because we have a group of volunteers taking care of each group of team, like in Buidl. So you can contact them directly for support. Okay, so that's all about the Buidl and Vietnam team briefly. If you want to know more about the event, please go to our website and Discord server also. Okay, so I think that's now we should jump into the main part of this workshop. This workshop is one of the series of View and Learn with world-class mentors. And the topic of this workshop is contract development, interactions, and L1, L2 messaging how-tos. And it's delivered to you by Scroll Team. And from Scroll Team, I would like to introduce Mr. Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all. So yeah, we at Scroll, we are really looking forward to see you guys and girls in the physical event of East Vietnam. And for our event in East Vietnam, we have this online hackathon workshop, which we will be telling you. And if you missed the previous sections, please check East Vietnam's YouTube channel to see what we have been taught to you. And from the most basic layer 2 to the Scroll infrastructure explanation to today, we will be introducing you how to deploy your own project on Scroll's layer 2 testnet. And if you don't know how to, we will have a separate breakout session for you. We can teach you one by one, and you get to understand how we work and get to enjoy the smoothest, fastest developers experience on Scroll. So yeah, that's it. And please remember that if you just like Lin just told us, if you join the Buidl in East Vietnam, we also have a Scroll award there where we will be awarding them to many teams. I mean, even if they are just gold, silver, and bronze awards, but it's not only that 3 teams will get awarded. I mean, if your project are good enough, we are very, 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 very want to award you that prizes. So it's not limited to those 3 teams. So yeah, don't be afraid and just start building from today. And as the starter, let's welcome Peter, our infrastructure engineer, to introduce you on the details of contract and the interlayer messaging of Scroll's infrastructure. To you, Peter.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Lin, for the introduction. So I'm sharing my screen now. Just want to make sure. Can you all see it?
Yes, we can see your screen clearly now.
Awesome. Great. Okay, then let's get started. So, hey everyone, my name is Peter. Some of you might have seen me. I had another workshop 2 days ago, and this is going to be like a more hands-on workshop, helping, if you want to get started on Scroll, you want to build something or deploy a contract on Scroll, I want to give you some practical examples of how to do that, what kind of tools you can use, what kind of contracts you can deploy. So that's what we're going to go through today. And before we get started, I want to invite all of the participants to, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, you can type maybe a few sentences about yourself in the chat, like who you are, what is your experience with Web3. We would very much love to get to know you and see who all the guests are in this talk. Yeah, so that's for the intro, and let me also introduce myself again. So to all of you who might see me for the first time. So my name is Peter. I'm an infrastructure engineer at Scroll. So at Scroll, we're building a ZK EVM, basically an EVM compatible ZK rollup, which is going to serve as a layer 2 to Ethereum. So we want to help Ethereum scale through this kind of zero knowledge technology. And what I work on is not the zero knowledge part, but everything around this, all the glue, the sequencer nodes, the coordinator, the bridge, all the components. If you came to the workshop on Tuesday, then you also heard like what all these components are and how they come together in a whole. And if you haven't, feel free to go ahead and check it out on YouTube. So before we get started, I copied the slide from last time. So very important, if you want to build on Scroll, very important thing is to sign up. So we want to make sure that we know about you, we put your address on the whitelist, etc. So you can either scan the QR code or manually enter this URL here, and then you can just fill your address and some email, stuff like that, and then register. That's about it. The other very important resource is guide.scroll.io. So that's kind of knowledge base. So if you're confused or you don't know how to get started, I think that's the best starting point to start developing on Scroll. Okay, that's for the logistics. And today I want to show you basically 3 examples. First, we will just see some basic interactions with Scroll, how you can get funded, get some tokens, how you can deploy some contracts. That's the first part. And the second part, I will show you how to use some more commonly used developer tools like Hardhat and Foundry. And the third example, we will have a little bit more details about the end-to-end depth, like smart contracts plus front-end, how you can make that happen on Scroll. So before we get started, the most important thing you need, as you might know, is a wallet. So I believe most of you already have one. And for now, we recommend you use MetaMask. So all of our portals use MetaMask or support MetaMask. In the future, you can also use all kinds of different wallets. But for now, MetaMask is the best choice. So for this workshop, I initialized a new wallet with 2 accounts. And that is all we need to get started. So once you've registered, you will be able to access this developer portal. So that's at prealpha.scroll.io. So I showed this to you last time, but I just quickly want to go through it again to make sure everyone gets this information. So prealpha.scroll.io is the entry point to our pre-alpha testnet, our current testnet. So this has all the information and all the tooling that you need to get started. If you cannot open this site, this might be because you're not on the whitelist yet. So in that case, make sure you register by filling the form, or you can contact me or Jerry and we can make sure you can access it. So in this testnet, we have 2 blockchains. So we have a layer 1 testnet. So mainnet, this is going to be Ethereum, but for testnet, we are running a layer 1 blockchain. And a layer 2 testnet, which is the rollup, so the Scroll blockchain itself. And you want to make sure that you have these networks in MetaMask. So the easiest way to do that is to kind of click on Add to MetaMask, and then you can simply add all the network or chain ID, RPC URLs, all this information will be added to your wallet. Another option, if you prefer, would be to use Chainlist. So you can go to chainlist.org and just search for Scroll, and then you can add the Scroll pre-alpha testnet. This is another option for you to add the Scroll testnet to your MetaMask wallet. Okay, and then we also have a test ERC20 token deployed. So if you want to play around with that, you might also want to make sure that your wallet knows about this token, so you can add this token as well. Okay, so now if you go back, you can see that I have these 2 networks in my wallet. Actually, I already pre-funded my account with some tokens. But if it comes to you, like how can you get some tokens? Of course, to deploy on Scroll, you will need some tokens. So to do that, you gotta go to the faucet and you simply click on request. I cannot request now because I requested recently. But if you request, you will be transferred 1 test ETH and a certain number of test ERC20 tokens. So this is all some tokens on the Scroll layer 1 testnet. And we don't really want you to deploy on the layer 1 testnet because that's the same as deploying on Ethereum. What we want you to do is to deploy on layer 2, which is going to be the actual, layer 2 blockchain. So the final step that you're going to take is to go to the bridge and bridge your assets from layer 1 to layer 2. So this again is very intuitive. Gonna make sure that you switch to the layer 1 testnet, and then you can type in the amount that you want to transfer from layer 1 to layer 2, and then just simply send a transaction. So this transaction, what happens under the hood? So we send a transaction to, let me open this in the copy transaction ID. So if you want, you can check it out on the block explorer, here, layer 1 block explorer. And this is the transaction that I just sent. So this is a transaction to our bridge on layer 1. So this contract is part of our bridge infrastructure. And I sent 0.01 ETH to this contract. And under the hood, we have the relayer. So we have these off-chain components of the bridge. And it will make sure that your message on layer 1 is relayed to layer 2 and processed if everything is correct. So after this has been processed, it usually takes around 1 or 2 minutes. Then if you switch to the layer 2 testnet, then now you have some ETH on layer 2 on the same account. So this is the very first steps you gotta take to start building, just to fund your account. And we have some other components like the swap, which is a Uniswap clone running on layer 2. And we have the blockchain explorer. I briefly talked about that last time. So you can just check these out if you're interested or you want to learn more. Okay, so now that we have all these steps done and we have some test ETH on layer 2, now it's time to deploy some contracts on Scroll. And the first example I wanted to show you is just without writing any code. I just want to use this contract wizard that is provided by OpenZeppelin. Some of you might have seen this before. This is a very convenient tool for creating simple tokens and some other contracts. So you can create ERC20 tokens, you can create some NFT tokens, and you can just pick and choose what kind of features and what kind of parameters you want to use. So this is kind of a no coding starting point. So here for this example, I want to choose ERC721. So that's an NFT standard. And I can just call it, let's say I want to deploy a scrollers NFT. That's going to be the coolest new thing on the block. And yeah, this is going to be a very simple NFT. The only thing I can do with this is mint, and then people can hold this NFT. I could add other features, but let's keep it simple for now. And once you're done playing around with this, by the way, if you just Google OpenZeppelin contracts wizard, then you can easily find this tool. So once you're done, you could either copy to some other, your IDE, but the easiest option is to just open it in Remix. So just click on open in Remix, and then it will open the code in Remix. So Remix, all of you who've done some Web3 development, I think you've used Remix at least once in your life. So this is a very, I'd say simple, although it has a lot of features, but it's basically a simple tool to get started deploying contracts on any EVM chain. So that's what we are going to use first. So I'll show you how to use Remix to deploy in the Scroll testnet. The first thing you got to do is compile your contracts, of course. So here we already compiled this contract provided by OpenZeppelin. And then you can use Remix to deploy a contract directly on Scroll. And what we're going to do to achieve this is we're going to use the injected provider. So the injected provider is the one provided by MetaMask. So in the environment, I will switch to injected provider. And the injected provider is going to use the current network that I selected in MetaMask. So in this case, you're going to make sure that you select Scroll layer 2 testnet, because that's where we want to deploy the contract. And I can also see my account and my balance here, so that's a good sign. By the way, I just had 0.7 ETH, and now I have 0.8, so my bridge transaction also arrived safely. Okay, so I selected the account, and very simple, I just click deploy. We don't have any constructor parameters here, so I can deploy directly and confirm the transaction, and within a few seconds, this will be deployed on the Scroll testnet. So you see that, okay, contract deployment successful, and then you can interact with your contract here, get the name, get the owner, etc. So this, just by looking at it, it works like any other chain. But in fact, if you open it in the blockchain explorer, so click on the transaction and click on view on Block Explorer, then you can see that it is indeed a transaction on the scroll layer 2 testnet. So you can see layer 2 scan here. And this is the address of the created contract. Okay, so that is just a very simple example of how to deploy contracts on scroll. So if you want to keep things simple, you can just quickly prototype using Remix. First, I would suggest that you just deploy it on the Remix VM for debugging, because it's, you don't need any tokens for that. And once your contract is ready to be deployed, you can switch to MetaMask and deploy it on scroll. Any questions so far? So if anything is not clear or you have any questions, feel free to type to the chat anytime. I'm happy to answer.
Hi, Peter. I think we have one question from YouTube.
Yeah.
Here, I will paste it in the chat box so you can check it yourself.
Okay. Do we need to have both layer 1 and layer 2 tokens? How are the gas fees going to be paid? So that's a good question. It might be confusing at first. So on mainnet, layer 2 is going to be Ethereum and layer 2 is going to be Scroll. As I said, on the testnet, we're running both test layers for now. And our goal is for you to have tokens on layer 2. But the only way for you to get tokens from the faucet is to get it on layer 1 first. And I use the bridge to move them to layer 2. So to answer your questions, we don't care so much about tokens on layer 1. That's not the main component of the system. But you have to start at layer 1 and then move to layer 2. And gas fees are going to be paid on the layer that you're sending transactions on. So for instance, now in Remix, I deployed on layer 2. So I paid gas fees on layer 2. Basically, they're like two independent blockchains. Yeah, thank you for the question. Okay, that concludes this Remix example, and let's move on to the second example. What if you don't want to use Remix, but you want to use some other tools that you're more familiar with or more comfortable with? So if you go to this guide scroll.io website, it has a lot of tutorials, as I mentioned, and I want to guide you to the contract deployment tutorial. So this is really an end-to-end kind of example of using these more advanced developer tools on Scroll. And it has a demo repository on GitHub. So if you click on demo repo, it will open that repository. This repository has a single contract, and then it has all the tooling to deploy with either Hardhat or Foundry, whichever you're more comfortable with. So the contract itself, we can look at it a bit. So this contract is called lock. And the idea is that you lock up some tokens, some ETH in the contract when you construct the contract, when you deploy the contract, and you specify an unlock time. So this is a Unix timestamp. And after this unlock time has been passed, so after the block timestamp is over the unlock time, you can simply withdraw the token. So this is just a very simple example, again, to lock up some tokens for a certain period of time. And this is the contract that we're going to use to experiment with these developer tools. So if you want to play around with this, I think that's the best way to learn these deployment steps. What you got to do, hopefully you can still see my terminal interface. So what you got to do is clone this repository. Then you will have all the files locally. Of course, you need to install the dependencies. And if you want to deploy with Hardhat, then you can just use the simple yarn deploy script. It has almost everything pre-configured. The only thing that you have to configure is the private key. So if you go to .env, then this has the private key configured. Of course, normally it's a very bad idea to show your private key on a live stream. So, but this is just like a single-use wallet for this workshop. So feel free to steal my private key if you prefer. So you would export your private key from MetaMask or generate another private key with some other tool and put it into this file. And then you can just use yarn to call the hardhat script. So this has, what it does is it takes the lock contract and it deploys on scroll. Now I have to wait a bit. So recently we have a lot of activity on our pre-alpha testnet. So we had to add some rate limiting basically. So if you call the testnet methods too often, then you might get an error like this, too many requests. So in that case, you simply just wait a minute or two and then you try again and it will work. So this is a way to deploy with hardhat. And of course, if you're familiar with hardhat, you can see that all the configurations are in the hardhat config file. So we have the scroll testnet configured here, and it reads all the important values from the environment variable. So that shouldn't be anything surprising. And the other tool that personally I use more and more often because it's faster and more feature rich is Foundry. So Foundry is I think it's from last year or this year. It's a very new developer framework for Solidity, and it supports all EVM chains. So here you can follow these instructions to install Foundry if you want to play around. And you can simply use Foundry to compile your contract. It's very fast. And let's see how we can deploy this contract using Foundry. So Foundry has two command line tools. One is called Cast, and the other is called Forge. And to deploy the contract, you would use Forge Create. And you can see that Forge Create takes a number of parameters. One is the RPC endpoint that we're going to use. So in this case, you can check it on chain list, but it's going to be pre-alpha scroll.io/L2. That is the layer 2 RPC URL. Then we need to specify the amount that we want to lock up, how much ETH we want to send to this contract. Then the constructor arguments, if you look at it, is the unlock time. So it's a timestamp after what time should be able to unlock this basically lock, time lock. So the way I usually do this, you can use some Unix tools, or you can use this Unix timestamp.com. You can specify a timestamp here. It's quite convenient. And then just use the timestamp generated here. Yeah. So this is going to be the constructor argument that we're going to use. And then, that's about it. Let me just copy these comments. So if you don't know how to convert ETH to Wei, so Wei is basically the unit of denomination for ETH or other tokens, many other tokens. Foundry has a very convenient tool for this. So let's say I want to send like 0.0001 ETH, then I can just use this cast to Wei function to convert it to Wei. Basically, just multiply it by 10 to the power of 18. So this is one tool that I like to use. And then you can just use Forge Create. So the only thing I changed here is I changed value to some Wei value, and I changed the timestamp to another timestamp that I generated. And I added this interactive flag, so I can input my private key. So I run this script so that I can deploy the contract, and it queries me for my private key to be used with this deployment. So I just copy paste the private key, and then Forge will create and submit this deployment transaction to the scroll layer 2 blockchain. And you can see that it already succeeded. It's actually, so our block time is 3 seconds on layer 2. So confirmation, finalization is not going to be so quick, but confirmation and transaction execution is going to be very fast. So you can iterate quickly and deploy transactions, deploy contracts very quickly. And of course, you can have the transaction hash. You can also search for it on the blockchain explorer. And just as an example, you can actually even call contracts using Foundry. So for that, you could use this tool called cast send, that is for sending transactions. And it works very similarly to how Forge Create works. So it takes you provide an RPC URL as the first parameter, and then you need to provide the address of the contract. So here we want to provide the deploy to address, that is the address of our newly deployed contract running on scroll. And then you deploy like which interface you want to call. So you can refer to the source code, and the only interface we can call is withdraw. The only, let's say, mutating interface that we can call is called withdraw. So we call this withdraw function, and again, interactive, so that we can input our private key through the command line. And you can see that I tried to send a transaction, but it failed, and transaction reverted with the message you can't withdraw yet. So that all is not surprising because the unlock time hasn't passed yet. So that is all what we expect. Okay, so this is a very good starting point for you. Again, scroll contract deploy demo repository, and then you can play around with hardhat foundry, and you can also modify the contract and try to deploy it again on scroll. I think that's a very good way to learn about these tools. So before we move on to the third and final part of this demo, I want to ask you again, is there any questions, any confusion? If not, then let's move on to the third part. So for the third part, we also have a repository that you can reference or even fork. So it's called Scroll if Vietnam under my own handle. And what I use for this is a tool or a framework called Scaffold if. I think many of you who've been to hackathons before or have been developing on Ethereum have used this or heard about this. So Scaffold if is a very convenient framework for also for learning about Ethereum. That's one part, and for building stuff and quickly iterating. It basically has a React template, and it has a lot of components that you can just directly use with any EVM chain. So I forked this, and the only thing I did was I added the network configurations for Scroll, so that if you fork this, you can directly use Scroll with this project. And before we dive into the code, let's just try to run it and see what this project does. So there are two main commands here. First of all, if you want to run this yourself, you need to open this file. Here it's documented. And you need to search for scroll pre-alpha. So these are the network configurations coded for you. And here I did scroll pre-alpha. And here, this is an empty array in the repository. Here you would need to add your own private key that you want to use for deployment. So once you've done that, you can use this script to deploy a contract. So I have a contract that I will show you shortly, but you can use this command to deploy it. And in this project, again, it will use hardhat, and we specify the scroll pre-alpha network. And it will, just like you saw before, it will deploy, or in my case, I already deployed this contract, so it will just reuse the same address that I deployed before. And then you can use yarn start to start the whole project. So this project is more complex than the previous one because it has two components. So one component is the smart contract that I will show you in just a second. And the other component is a UI written in React.js. Right. So this is how it looks. So this is a very simple DApp. And this is a wallet component. So you can connect your MetaMask again on Scroll pre-alpha network. And it has a UI to DApp. And what I deployed here is a kind of a very, very simplified version of ENS. So that's the Ethereum name service, which is basically a service where you can register names to your address. And then basically this is tokenized. So you can, if you have an address registered or name registered, you can transfer it to someone else or do simple actions like this. So just to show this to you in action, let's try to register ethvietnam.com, the domain. You can see that the current owner is 0, so this is not taken yet. So what I can do is simply input this name in here and click register. And as you see, this is actually triggering a transaction on Scroll layer 2. So to some contract. And yeah, now something is happening on scroll. And once this transaction has been executed, you can see that the owner of ETH Vietnam has been updated to my address. So that is kind of like a DNS service, Web3 DNS service, a very simplified version of ETH. And the other feature it has is that I can, as the owner, I can transfer ownership from my registered names to another account. So let me copy this other account address here and show you how this is done. So I input the name, I input the new owner, and I simply click update so that I can transfer ownership of this domain name. So again, the transaction is being executed on scroll, and now you can see that the current owner has been updated to this new owner. And finally, currently, I'm not the owner anymore. I've transferred ownership already. So if I try to update this again, then that will fail because I'm not authorized to do that. So this is a very simple app, but it kind of shows you how you can create an app on scroll, end to end with a front end and everything like that. And let's look into what's under the hood. So one component is Lil ENS. So this is a very good repo, Lil Web3, for learning about different dApps. This has a very simplified version of some very useful and interesting dApps for learning purposes. So you have Gnosis, Multisig, you have OpenSea, Flash Loans, and I think ENS is probably the simplest one. This is something that most of you could probably very easily develop yourself. So as you see, this is a contract that just has one data structure called lookup, and this ties the address to the registered name. It's a hash map or mapping. And then you have two methods. Register basically checks if this name is already taken, and if not, then just registers it to the caller. And updates just checks if the current owner is the sender. If not, then we revert. Otherwise, we update the owner to the provided address. So this is actually very modern Solidity, uses these custom errors, etc. But it's a very simple contract. So even if you're not used to Solidity, this is something that you probably already understand very easily. So this is the contract that we have. Now let me switch back. So I have this Ethereum workshop repo opened here. And you can see that I have the contract. Let me zoom in a bit. I have the contract under packages, hard hat contract. So you can put a different number of contracts here. If you have multiple contracts, you can develop them here, all of them. And these will be used in the rest of your application. So for me, I just copied this code to our project. And what's more interesting here is the React app package. So that is going to be the front end. And I think scaffold ETH is like batteries included. So it has a lot of components. You don't need to write everything from scratch. You can just take these like Lego pieces and put them together into new dApp front end. And for instance, here I have the app. I think it's the Lil ENS JSX. So it's a React component, and it's actually very simple. So if you go to the render function return, you can see all the components that exist here. So this is going to be the current owner. It's going to be this top part of the UI, the current owner. And then the second part is going to be the register part. So it has an input and a button. And finally, the update part, it has two inputs and a button. Quite simple. And then, so what happens when I click register? So as you can see, I have a quick handler here on the button. And it will call register, which is the main function that creates a transaction. And it will just log some output after that. And this register will use all these tools from scaffold ETH. So it will create a transaction to the little ENS contract, and it will call register with this new address. and then we see what is the result. So all of these are just log results once the transaction has been, executed or reverted, it failed. So actually, the transaction sending part is just this. It's very simple. Similarly to updates, we just call transaction for updates, provide the parameters, and that's about it. And the rest of this project is basically just some React logic of updating the UI, taking input from the input field, etc. So nothing surprising if you're familiar with React. But I think this is a very good starting point for you to start building. So as you know, the deadline is approaching. So I think Lynn said it's on the 25th to submit your project. So you don't want to waste too much time learning new stuff or debugging a lot of developer tooling. So I think using this if Vietnam repo would be a very good starting point for you. And then if you compile it, you would see something like this. And then you can change the contract, you can change the UI, and then you can just directly test on the Scroll testnet. So that is going to be very convenient. All right. So this was an example about using scaffold if to create an end-to-end app, including a smart contract and a front end using React.js. So hope that was helpful and somewhat illuminating. And finally, I just want to come back to this slide for a moment. So if before you hadn't made up your mind whether you want to develop on Scroll, but now you have, please make sure to take a screenshot or directly scan the QR code and make sure to register so that you can start building straight away. So that's going to be the workshop for today, and I think we can move on to some questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for a very informative session. And do you guys have any questions? I think, Jerry, what do you think? Can we come to the breakout rooms now for people to ask them questions?
Yeah, do you have questions on YouTube chat or?
No, currently I don't see any questions from YouTube.
Okay, so cool. I've seen many familiar faces who are builders and are doing projects in East Vietnam for now. So I think for now we can move to the breakout room sessions where three of our each will be separated into three rooms so that if you have projects that you would like to ask, whether it's for related or just general Solidity related, you can ask us freely. And yeah, let's move to the breakout room, and we look forward to see you there.
Yeah, sure. So hey guys, we have sent the link to the breakout room for each mentor here. So please click on the link that you want to join, and after the breakout room session, please get back to this main room for wrap up. Thank you all. Now we can go to the breakout room. Please check the chat box, guys. You can see the breakout room right.
So we got another speaker.
Hello, guys. So Jerry's rooms is back, right? Hi, Jerry. Are you there? I think people are getting back to the main room. Let's wait for a few minutes. After everyone is getting back, we can have a wrap up for this session. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Dean.
How's everything in your room?
Yeah, we have a very pleasant conversation about zero knowledge based apps that can be deployed on Scroll L2 and some friendly chit chat about the importance of decentralized exchange instead of centralized exchange. Yeah, so people will not be losing their funds if a centralized entity got shut down. Yeah, things like that.
Nice. We also, in our other rooms also has a lot of interesting conversation between the moderator, the speakers, and also the participants. So everyone is getting back to the main room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that people are interested enough in who we are and what we are doing, because as Southeast Asians, first, English is not our native language, and second, we are sometimes too shy to prove ourselves. If given chances and stop being shy and be brave enough, we can. For Vietnamese people or for other Southeast Asia people, myself included, we can be better and grab more chances in the international stage. And that is why all of the people they are working so hard in East Vietnam and Scroll, and we are ready to help you to open our hand and welcome you to join the good builder family. Yeah.
Yes, totally agree with you, because in online workshop people are usually shy and they don't really want to ask a lot of questions, but I think everyone will be more active in real life. So Jerry, I heard that you will be in Ho Chi Minh City by the end of this November, right?
Yes, correct. It will be me and other 2 to 3 school teachers there, and we can teach you in the very good venue that is Vietnam help us prepare it, and so that we can be like tens or hundreds of people there, and we'll guarantee that we'll teach you from the basics to the details of all the things about school, and I'm sure that you'll learn a lot from it.
Yeah, sure. So we'll meet you there, and can't wait to see everyone there. I hope that we will get a cozy meetup in Ho Chi Minh City, and I'm sure we will.
Yes, absolutely. Example, you can even get, just between us or maybe on the street. If you join our workshop, you'll get a shiny new Squirrel T-shirt for you as a participation prize. Yeah. So if you get there and you try our contract deployment demo and finish your first contract deploy on Squirrel Layer 2, yeah, that would be a pretty good achievement to you and to us. So yeah, there's a T-shirt for you as a gift. Yeah. So I hope everyone can enjoy that, and even better if you can compete in the hackathon, build-a-thon, and gain a score reward, so that we can further help you, whether in mentorship, the form of mentorship, or in the form of friends, so that we can better grow each other on the road towards future. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's also the mission when we plan to organize East Vietnam. We want to bring everyone together under the same roof, and so we can learn with each other, and we can also like interact with each other in person and get the best out of ourselves. So yes, so thank you much, our 4 speakers here today, for joining us and for a very insightful session. And we can't wait to see all of you in the event. And also, if you, for participants, if you have any other questions relating to building or anything related to Scroll, please join our Discord. We have Scroll channel there, and Jerry is super active in that channel. he will be there to help you with anything you need in terms of development. So please join us. And I think that's quite like long session, but long but interesting session here today. I think we can wrap it up here. And thank you all for joining.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
today.
Yes, thank you all. And that's all for today. Bye-bye, guys. Hope to see you.
Bye bye, guys.
Yes.
Good night. See you soon.
See you. Thank you, everyone.